some sense of it all, but I can see it makes no sense at all. Is it cool to go to sleep on the floor? 'Cause I don't think that I can take anymore. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you.
Good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Today's Monday, June 16th, 2025. Kids are going to be done school soon. There's, I think, less than 10 days of regular school left. Kids are excited that there's no more school, all the rest of that. So that's interesting. Quick show note. I have a lot of things that are happening this summer. So there's going to be, I have tournaments and things that I cannot get out of. The timing doesn't work for doing my show. And so there's going to be some holes in the show this summer. It's not going to be a huge deal. For the most part, you're not going to notice. But in the past, I've been able to work around it. But I'm getting to a point now where I can't work around it. And the responsibilities I have outweigh the ability to get the show done and out in a reasonable time. So I do most days and I'm here weekends, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't feel bad necessarily, but I want you to know that there's going to be a couple of holes this summer. So heads up, I'll announce it before I go, and it won't be too long, 2 days, 3 days, for mostly tournaments and things, but it is a situation that I can't avoid. And I just thought I'd read you in because I was looking at the calendar and I thought, oh my gosh, like I'm not going to be able to do my show. I don't know what to do. And my wife said, you could just tell them that you can't do the show those days. And I was like, I guess I could do that. Yeah, I could do that. So here I am, just telling you, heads up, right? And I will be here for the summer. I will be doing my show for the summer by and large. It's just a couple of weeks that are gummed up, and sorry, just life happens, man. So anyway, with that out of the way, Trump he thanked the No Kings protest, and I thought it was pretty funny. No trade deal, or a new old trade deal with England. There was a trade deal that was negotiated that had remnants of the TPP, and I think TPP is in its name, but I don't have a Globe and Mail article that I can read, so I don't have the details of this yet. And so it's one of those things that I remember reporting on this in 2023. I don't think I like the deal. It had to do with milk, though. Somebody was talking about milk and cheese from England and opening up our milk and so on and so forth. But there's a trade deal that's coming up, and we're talking about that. UK grooming gangs there's big news, and we're going to talk about it closer to the end of the show. But the United Kingdom announced yesterday that they were going to do, or Saturday, I think, that they were going to do an inquiry into the grooming gangs. And it's come out that the reason they announced that they were going to do an inquiry into the grooming gangs is because a really damning report is going to come out. And basically it says Tommy Robinson was right the whole time. And it's even worse than you thought, if only you knew how bad it really is, type report. And so the government was going to, well, they're in a panic apparently, and this is their panicked response. Although I've got video of Starmer at the G7 this morning, and he doesn't look panicked at all, so we'll see. Update to the price of Australian meat. So yesterday, it's Father's Day. It was Father's Day yesterday, and I was talking about cheap steaks from Australia, and I've got some possible insider information about that, about the meat in Australia and why it's so cheap in Canada. mRNA. That's the preview. So there's lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, we got to start with the G7. And Mark Nixon says President Donald Trump departs Washington en route to Canada. I'm getting it wrong. Canada for the G7 summit. So he's walking up the stairs. He doesn't fall because, he's not Joe Biden, and gives a nice wave. And here he is landing in Alberta. So there you go, Donald Trump. Boom. Tokyo Rosie says Canadian Liberals, President Trump will never be allowed in Canada. Elbows up, elbows up. Meanwhile, here's Donald Trump, and he will be here for the week, along with a whole bunch of other world leaders. And here's Mark Carney arriving. He says, I've arrived in my home province of Alberta, ready to get to work with the G7 leaders in an increasingly dangerous and divided world. We must build a new international system of integration to deliver greater stability, prosperity, and security for all. My question, and I mean, humble old me from my garage, is if this is an increasingly dangerous and divided world, why are we opening our borders and wholesale importing a bunch of people who completely disagree with our way of life? I'm wondering, if this world is so divided and dangerous, why divide and make Canada more dangerous with bad policies? It doesn't make any sense. It's insane, right? So the rhetoric does not match the actions of our government, and they're hoping we won't notice. I guess it's quite something. Here's this. It's just Mark Carney and his wife walking down the stairs. And people were noticing that Mark Carney kind of completely ignores his wife and is walking ahead of her and ignoring her, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of people saying Canada is not a serious country for various reasons. Yes. Here, Danielle Smith is there. Mark Nixon is highlighting this. Danielle Smith greets Mr. Burns at the G7 summit, Alberta. Once you've seen it, it can never be unseen. So Mark Carney's posture is that of Mr. Burns, right? And he looks a lot like Mr. Burns in a lot of ways. So including the teeth to a degree, although Burns has whiter teeth. It is a thing. Very interesting. Very interesting. Danielle Smith's playing nice. Anita Anand had a press conference yesterday, and she's talking about how important it is that Canada prioritize Ukraine, honestly. And she says that's why Zelensky's going to be there. Here's Anita Anand.
Well, to begin, Ukraine and assisting Ukraine in its time of need with military and...
Are we going to give them drugs? Right? Lots of fentanyl, lots of addicts in Ukraine. We got to give them a bunch of fentanyl in their time of need.
And economic aid since February 2022 has been one of our government's top priorities, and that will not change. That is the reason that we have invited President Zelensky to this summit.
Why does the Canadian government have a top priority to financially support a non-NATO country like Ukraine? Why is that the top priority since 2022? Have we not had financial concerns since 2022 in Canada? But we print money, we ignore our financial concerns, we ignore all the problems here. Housing, schmousing, right? Who cares about your wait times at the hospital? Who cares how terrible the education system is? Who cares? We've got to send money to Ukraine. Anita Anand says the top priority for Canada in this G7 is Ukraine. That's why we invited Zelensky to the G7. What insanity. Absolute insanity. Starmer arrived yesterday. Keir Starmer says, quick walk in the mountains before the G7 gets going. Not a bad spot. So they're in the mountains in a very, very, very isolated part of the country. How many security people are here? How much does this walk in the mountains cost? I'm not even British and I'm angry. What? What a Muppet. Here is, what is this? Mocha says G7 Khalistanis across North America met in Calgary to ambush and kill India's prime minister's politics. We want to ambush Modi's politics as a way to get around directly threatening Modi, I guess. It's not very effective. Here's a guy being interviewed, and I can't really understand most of what he's saying. Here we go.
So are you ready to ambush and kill Modi politics?
Yes, I ready kill Modi politics, ambush Modi. I want safe Canada and peace Canada. This Indian terrorist.
I don't know exactly what he's talking about. For the whole clip, go check out Mocha's stuff. Link is in the description. And it is an interesting situation where a foreign leader is coming here and a huge cohort of people who want to harm him and have effigies of him in jail and effigies of him. There's a sign that guys are standing in front of. Yeah, assassination of Modi. They've got him in a crosshair. Like, this is some pretty crazy stuff. Really, like, wow. I'm genuinely shocked. And the RCMP don't seem to care. This isn't new. Like, this is, if you check out Mocha's previous reporting, which he's done quite a lot of it, and he's been threatened, and there's all sorts of pushback he gets from this kind of stuff, from this community. And the RCMP don't seem to care. Like, they're not writing in to say you can't threaten journalists who are exposing what you're doing, right? Like, nope. They don't seem to care. They allow them to continue to do this kind of stuff. Let's talk about the Bilderberg. So that's G7, and Bilderberg is wrapping up, I guess. Chrystia Freeland is at the Bilderberg, and Bradshaw says, why is Freeland at the Bilderberg conference in Sweden? Are Canadians paying for her to be at this elitist gathering? Oh, yeah. Yes, definitely. Dan Dix says, definitive proof Chrystia Freeland making her getaway at the 71st annual Bilderberg conference in Sweden. So here she is. Every day she looks more and more like a Baba. Right? And she probably hates it, but it's true.
Chrystia!
Just as she walks behind this barrier.
So Chrystia Freeland just popped out. She ducked back behind the...
yeah. Unmistakable. Unmistakable Chrystia Freeland. Look at her. There she is. The face she's making. It's like Donald Trump just walked by. And here is, what else is this? This is Peter Thiel. And Dan Dix was confronting him at Bilderberg. And Freedom Ukuleles is sharing
Setting
this.
up a Big Brother surveillance system, and people know it, sir. You think the American people want this surveillance tech being used against them? People are waking up to what you're doing there, sir. That's why we're here covering this. There is a lot of heavy kind of tech representation here and military men.
Yeah, it's AI. They're going to use AI just like China's using AI. It's coming. I hope I'm wrong. Here is Elon Musk talking about George Soros and how involved George Soros is in all of this, NGOs, via NGOs and funding NGOs and funneling money from governments to NGOs is kind of brokered through Soros and Soros affiliated things. Here we go.
It's a gigantic scam, like one of the biggest, maybe the biggest scam ever.
And how many NGOs?
I think there's a total number of NGOs, probably millions, but in terms of large NGOs, tens of thousands. I mean, it's actually kind of a hack to the system where someone can get an NGO stood up for a fairly small amount of money. Like George Soros was really good at this. Like George Soros is like a system hacker. Like he figured out how to hack the system. He's a genius at arbitrage. I mean, these days he's pretty old, but a genius at arbitrage. So he figured out that you could leverage a small amount of money to create a nonprofit, then lobby the politicians to send a ton of money to that nonprofit, so you can take what might be, a $10 million donation to a nonprofit to create a nonprofit and leverage that into $1 billion NGO. A nonprofit is a weird word. It's just a non-governmental organization, and then the government continues to fund that every year, and it'll have a nice sounding name like the Institute for Peace or something like that. But really, it's a graft machine.
And what are the requirements with that money? What do they have to do?
Just really no requirements at all.
So they just get grants and the government just assumes that they're doing good work.
I think a lot of people in the government know that they're not doing good work.
Yeah, because the people in the government are the same people who are approving the grants. Here is the Hungarian government, and they say George Soros is using these NGOs to do real damage. Here we go.
The Hungarian government has announced that they will be releasing a documentary exposing the USAID scandal. The movie will focus on revealing how USAID funneled millions of dollars into ideological movements in their country. They claim that political organizations and liberal media, which claim to be independent, received money through USAID to promote Democrat agendas such as illegal migration, transgenders, and war stances. Orban's government says USAID is working with George Soros's Open Society foundations in the plot. The Hungarian
Can't wait to see that documentary. I'm sure I'll share it on here if I can. Wall Street Apes, let's talk about the riots, and what's going on is actually quite a funny response to what's happening. Wall Street Apes says American is reporting a group of California protesters were just told to pack up and head to their next location to protest. Craziest shit just happened. Well, here he's saying it here.
Well, the craziest shit just happened. They said, come on, guys, time to get to Fresno. And the big protest we had across from us, because they're on the way to Fresno, is... That's it.
Only 30 or so people remain.
They're loading up to go to Fresno.
So there you go. And the other day I said the timing of these events, make it so you can take one bus of people, whip up a crowd, and then go to your next place, whip up a crowd, and now you've got two protests where previously that group of people would only have had one. And so, but it didn't work because the mob wasn't big enough, right? There wasn't enough people to upset. And so everybody just kind of went home when the buses left. Laura Logan says 0 F's given. The old tactics no longer work. Donald Trump says a huge thank you to all the No Kings protesters yesterday. I was very concerned a king was trying to take my place, but thanks to your tireless efforts, I am still your president. Great job, all. I hope it's true. Oh my gosh, he didn't post this. I hope he did. I was just going to tell you that I didn't actually confirm that he posted that on Truth Social. Apparently not, but I hope that he does. It's very funny. I thought there was an off chance that it was real. So apologies that it's not, according to the community notes, which aren't always accurate. Bobby D, take everything with a grain of salt. This is the internet after all. Bobby D says, ouch, I don't normally post a picture of a post unless it slaps me in the face. Why is everything the left does exactly the opposite of reality? It almost sounds like they project everything they're doing onto us, almost. Here's Morgan. She says, no kings, but put your mask on. No kings, but lock us down. No kings, but I'm firing you for not being vaccinated. No kings, but you can't go outside. No kings, but we don't accept your exemption. No kings, but you need 380 boosters. No kings, but we're shutting down your business. It's non-essential after all. No kings, but you can't worship the real king. No kings, but your family members will die alone. No kings, but I'm opening a hotline so you can tattle on your neighbor. No kings, but mandates galore. No kings, but you're responsible for my health. You're responsible for my health. Nope, no thanks. My chocolate cereal and me are doing just fine. No kings, but social distance and 6 feet apart. No kings, but no family gatherings over 10 people. The hypocrisy is astounding. Who is the tyrant here? Right. And it's interesting that this one didn't work. And I said on the Kitchen Table Talk yesterday, which we did, it's up on Rumble and a couple of other, Canada Poly is CanadaPoly.com as well. But we were talking about the power of these people and their ability to turn out protesters and things like that. And it seems to be waning quite a lot. They don't seem to be able to turn out what they could turn out. The chop zones in the first Trump presidency were what they were trying to achieve with yesterday's protest. It was supposed to be the kickoff, just like the pussy hat kickoff. Remember, everybody showed up with their pussy hats on, and then there were chop zones in Seattle and all sorts of other violence across the country. And I think Trump learned from that, and he said, we're not going to let that happen this time. If these people want to burn down a state, we're not going to sit by and let them. We're going to activate the National Guard, and we're going to stop it. And so that's interesting. I have another update for you. This is supposed to be kind of funny, but I didn't realize that Donald Trump didn't actually post that thing, so it's less funny. But this Israel is real. And these guys are Canadians. I think these are Canadians, but it's also not Canadians as well. And they went to Egypt to protest Israel at the Gaza Strip. And the Egyptians were like, no, I don't think so. Go home, you lunatics. And so what do? They start chanting. So this is the most leftist, weakest beta reaction to being thrown in a bus and taken back to the airport by the Egyptians. Here's what they do.
Fuck you, Egypt! Fuck you, Israel! Fuck you, Israel!
It's hilarious because it's so weak. Like, okay, good job, guys. See you guys at the airport. Bye. As the bus pulls away, right? Tokyo Rosie says Egypt is deporting the elbows up people back to Canada with 0 F's given. So hilarious, very funny. I wanted to show you this. I have an update as well for the bus driver who was dressed like a schoolgirl. I said I didn't see the bus being called the Lolita Express, although in the video the parents talk about it. And I said I thought the Lolita Express was going to be on this side of the bus. So when the bus drove away, I paused the video and I zoomed in when I was off camera, obviously, and I was looking for Lolita Express. And so thank you. Somebody tagged me in this and they said, hey, Mark, it's on the front. It's on the front of the bus. You missed where it was. And yep, you're right. If you look under the letters, if you look under the 3334, anybody? Okay, 33. Okay. Underneath that, it's called the Lolita Express. Unbelievable. This person was hired by a bus company to transport children, and they've got a printed out piece of paper that says 3334 Lolita Express. Whoa. And if you don't know why that's a problem, I've got a ping pong game to play with you. Ridiculous. And if you don't know about the ping pong stuff, well, I've just introduced an entirely different rabbit hole. Here is me. I was at Centennial High School recently, and I was walking around waiting for something to happen. I was waiting for the end of something. And just walking around, and I came across this, and I thought, holy smokeronies. What this has a picture of, so if you can't see it, I'll describe it. But if you're looking at it, you'll notice that there's a picture of a bathroom, like a toilet. And then beside that, there's a picture of a handicap thing, like a handicap sign, a person in a wheelchair handicap sign. Okay. And underneath that, it says, this washroom is for all students who identify as, and then in all caps, girls or gender variant. And then it says in regular text, we respect everyone's right to choose the washroom appropriate for them. A for use by all single stall washroom is also available around the corner, and it stank like piss, which was not very great, but I digress. That's the one I used. Why do they need to use the handicap sign on this? What about the handicap sign indicates girl or gender variant? 1. 2, this is in a high school. So I said to my kid, if you see this sign, don't use this bathroom. I said, any male in this bathroom is there to hurt you, period. And without exception. They're not there for themselves. If they want or feel out of place in a regular bathroom, then maybe they use the single stall bathroom. But males don't belong in a girl's bathroom. And if you have to go to the bathroom, don't put yourself in danger by choosing to use this dangerous bathroom. This is insane, though. So, I mean, this is happening, and I don't think most people understand or know that it's happening. And so that's wild, right? That's absolutely bonkers. That's crazy. So when I talked to the school board about this in 2019, before they silenced parents' ability to give feedback about any of this, they said that the gender variant bathrooms would be the single star washrooms and the regular bathrooms would be left alone for everyone to use. That was a lie, and they damn well knew it. So these people are ideologues, they're liars, and they are grooming our kids into putting themselves in dangerous situations and allowing mentally ill men to transport children under the bus name Lolita Express 333, which, again, symbology. If you don't know what I'm talking about, holy smoke, you've got a rabbit hole and a half to fall down. How long are we at here? 21 minutes. Oh, we got time. Good. Great. I was worried. Here's Greg, and it's funny, there's a whole bunch of people who have been getting phone calls from Pierre Polyv. And that's so weird. Like, my phone call didn't come because I didn't work for him ever. That's why he didn't call me, because I never worked for him. You got that? I work for you guys, the people who are watching me, and me, because this is an outlet for me. This is so I don't drive my family bonkers talking about politics and explaining the intricacies of what I think's going on, right? They're like, yes, good, but could you focus on making dinner? So Ryan says, hey, Pierre Polyv, thanks for calling my wife today, Cat Canada. She worked tirelessly for your campaign, and you made her day by recognizing her hard work. A very classy move as we sit here in the Fox and Hound in Ladysmith for a nice birthday lunch. Thank you, sir. And Greg says, Cat Canada's husband explicitly says she worked tirelessly on Polyev's campaign. Does that mean Cat was officially paid to promote Polyev and the Conservative Party? Yes. Her thousands of followers would probably like to know if the support was organic or just a paid gig. Paid gig. Mario's the same. Mario says, Pierre Polyv called me about a week ago. I thought it was AI. I've never spoken to him before. Pierre's a really nice guy and extremely easy to talk to. You can tell he's a great father and husband. So again, I must have missed my phone call from Pierre Polyv. You watch, I'll get a phone call on air one day. But all of this indicates, and I say, he paid off Mario, Kat, Pleb, Marty up north, Eva, Tamara, Rebel. You and me are the only ones who didn't get a phone call, right? And I'm not necessarily saying like Tamara Litch directly paid. I think probably Rebel News had some kind of agreement with the Conservative Party. Eva and Marty, I think directly, Pleb directly, Kat Canada, I think directly, Mario directly. Eva, I think, was just in the sphere. Right? Like, I don't know that she was working for the Conservatives, but she was somebody who these guys could use as an expert, and she was like part of the club, right? Does that make sense? And because like these people, block people, these people do a whole system of growing your account is to have like fake fights, right? And I've talked about this before. It's wrestling. It's Andy Kaufman versus Ric Flair. And people tune in because they're like, oh, who's going to win, Andy or Ric Flair? And then Ric Flair, does a move on the Tonight Show. And then everybody's profile is raised. Everybody's got more followers, more eyeballs. And, it's like hitting somebody in the dark. Victimless crime, right? So, but the thing is, nobody during the campaign, it was obvious to me, it was obvious to Greg as well, but nobody during the campaign came clean about this nice little setup of people being paid, right? And so I just think that's weird. I think that's a strange thing. The Conservatives have decided, and Pierre Polyv himself has decided specifically to start his own podcast, which I think is weird, because does he want to be a podcast star? Does he want to be the prime minister, right? Like, seems strange to me. The job of a politician is to craft policy that speaks to the problems that people want to hear solved. And then you go and take those policy pieces and shop them around at different places. And it used to be you'd shop them around to different newspapers because the newspapers were the kingmakers. And then it was news television stations. And now it's podcasts. And so in order to get on something like Joe Rogan, or in order to get on something like the big podcast where you have a big audience, you have to be a big get, right? Polyv would be a big get in trying to be the Prime Minister of Canada. I think he was even offered to go on Joe Rogan and he said no. That's because he can't control it. He can control this. The reason he's doing this is because he can control this, from editing to post to everything. Everything under the sun gets to be controlled. And if they don't like how something goes, they don't post it. If they don't like how something goes, it's edited out, right? No problems at all. Whereas if he comes on my show and I go after him for, why did you not vote no on the throne speech? Why did you let it pass on division? How do you support the Liberals? Is there a plan? Maybe you wouldn't like where that conversation goes, so cuts that. But there's no opportunity to have that conversation. And that's the fundamental crux of the problem here. This doesn't solve it, right? Having your own show where you control all of it, cool, nice show, but it doesn't help me understand who you are much better. You know what I'm saying? And or do you want to be a podcast star, or do you want to be the prime minister, right? Like, I don't know. I don't like it personally. And so I think that it's not great. Brittany likes it a lot. She says CPC and Pierre Polyv are starting a podcast and it's perfection. Which MP would you like to see Pierre Polyv interview? Tag them below. I would like him to allow his MPs to go on shows like mine and talk candidly with me for an hour. How about that? That's what I'd like. That's the question I'd like to ask. Why don't you let your MPs go on any show that wants to talk to them? Because it's not like people are falling all over themselves. I think I'm one of 4 or 5 people now still talking about Canadian politics, right? I don't see content from at the same level as we did during the election. And because there's not a lot of money in it, right? Like, so if people could talk about video games or politics, they'll talk video games. Anyway, Project Constitution says, Trump issues stark warning to Iran. If they kill me or my team, they'll be obliterated. When asked if Iran and his proxies have threatened to assassinate him or his team, President Trump didn't flinch. They haven't, but if they did, they'd be obliterated. So here's Trump talking about Iran. And he says, again, I showed yesterday that he said that he didn't have anything to do with the Israeli strikes in Iran. And I don't know. This kind of stuff, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I have no idea. But as I said yesterday, or whenever we were talking about this, the support from the U.S. is why Israel is as confident as they are. And at this point in time, the news on the street is that Israel is in a bit of trouble and asking for American support to stop all of this. And if America refused to support them, which is just, it's not going to happen, then potentially Iran would win this little skirmish. So Trump thinks that there's going to be a deal very shortly. Here's Trump on if Iran does anything to us, they'll find out. Here we go.
It's Iran and their proxies who have threatened to retaliate against you and your team by killing you guys for taking out Soleimani.
Well, they haven't done that, and that would be a terrible thing for them to do, not because of me. If they did that, they would be obliterated. That would be the end. I've left instructions. If they do it, they get obliterated. There won't be anything left. And they shouldn't be able to do it. And Biden should have said that, but he never did. I don't know why. Lack of intelligence, perhaps.
So there you go. If they try anything, well, I've left instructions. Here is somebody asking, do you think that there will be a deal? He says, yeah, I think there'll be a deal. And the stock market agrees with him as well. Here we go.
Can you give us a sense of what you're doing to try to de-escalate the situation between Iran and Israel?
Well, I hope there's going to be a deal. I think it's time for a deal, and we'll see what happens. But
Sometimes they have to fight it out, but we're going to see what happens. I think there's a good chance there'll be a deal.
Can you give us a sense?
And the stock market, as I said, agrees with Trump. And Amit says futures slight red, but nothing dramatic based on escalations over the weekend. Market might be thinking that a resolution will come soon to this. So there you go. People were saying on Saturday morning that the Strait of Hormuz was under targeting by the Houthis, and Iran wanted to close the Strait of Hormuz, which would spike oil prices in Europe and so on and so forth. And maybe that's calmed down. Maybe that talk has calmed down by now. Who knows? I don't know. But the markets seem to believe that there's a pathway out of this whole thing. Maxime Bernier says, as the war in the Ukraine rages on and a new conflict has just begun in the Middle East, I want to reiterate my position in the clearest way possible. Canada has no business getting involved in these foreign wars. Canadians should not pay a cent in taxes to support one side or the other. No Canadian soldier should die in support of one side or the other. These are not our wars. I couldn't agree more. Here is Concerned Canadian, and this is just about our elections. This is our grab bag of governance. Oh, we should kill the stream soon. I'll be killing the stream in a minute or two. We still got lots of show left, but gotta move on. I looked for this article because I wanted to dig deeper into this one, but apparently, and I couldn't find it. So I think this is real, because sometimes I just can't find the article for whatever reason, and not because it's not there, but because for whatever reason what I'm searching is not coming up. So when I searched this on Google and when I went to the Western Standard site, I still didn't find it, but still, I can imagine that they are doing this, but I don't think anything's going to come of it. Western Standard is reporting, possibly, that Chief Electoral Officer to face committee over voting irregularities. And if that's true, then nothing's going to happen about the voting irregularities. Nothing at all. And so, womp, right? So I'm going to have to try and confirm that, and I'll let you know as soon as I can, which probably will be tomorrow. I saw this just before going to air, and I tried to confirm it, but again, I just ran out of time. So it's one of those things. But if they don't arrest the people who do these things, then they have no intention of fixing or bringing justice to the problem. So it's working for them, and we're not questioning it much. And so why not carry on? That's, I think, what's going on. Here is Reclaim the Net, and they say a Canadian senator wants to bring back the failed speech